Hello everybody and welcome to Spiritus Walking. I am Tracee Ford and tonight we are going to be talking about faith. And I will be quite honest with you, at this point in my life, I am having this conversation with you to reinforce my own faith. I have been under circumstances recently that have been very difficult, and my faith is not shaking so much in my spiritual faith, but my faith in other things has plummeted. I'll be quite honest with you. I'm quite a positive person, and I pride myself in that, but we're all human, and that's part of this experience, is the human experience. And in being human, we get discouraged. We are afraid. We have to make decisions that are hard. And that is the point that I am in my life. So I am presenting this to you not only to help you, but to help myself. So faith. There is a vast amount of information available on faith, its definition, its origins, and much more. When we talk about faith, isn't the most important part of faith how we each individually view our faith? I think that that is the topic of our discussion this evening. So that's what we're going to talk about. By definition, faith means that you're willing to put complete and utter trust in something or someone or something. It is also defined as a strong belief in God or a strong belief in a spiritual doctrine or religious doctrine. The catch is with faith that you're believing without actually seeing. You believe in teachings or in a deity without even actually seeing the deity. Faith isn't limited to spiritual points of view either. When we're in a relationship of any kind, whether it be a romantic relationship or a friendship, we must have faith in that person to continue with that relationship. And if the person keeps letting you down, or isn't there when you need them, or shuts you out when things get hard, that's going to be very difficult for you to maintain faith in that friendship or that relationship. You're going to more than likely move away from that situation because it's damaging your faith. So it stands to reason that faith on any kind of level has to be cultivated. It must be nurtured. In relationships, situations that we encounter as a couple or even as friends often act in ways of building our faith in each other as well as inner strength. Time builds faith. You don't automatically, typically trust someone. For example, if you have just met someone and you are interested in that person romantically, if you're my age, you're going to be very cautious. Now, when you're in your early 20s, your late teens to your early 20s, and even into your late 20s, you still might not exercise that type of discretion just yet. But I can tell you from my point of view, if I were to enter into another relationship, I would tread lightly because I have enough experience to tell me that it's not okay to trust someone right off the bat, that that has to be earned. And that's in any situation. I've just encountered a situation where I put trust in individuals and that didn't work out so well. And even after time had passed, and I felt like it was okay to trust these people, it wasn't okay to trust these people. So it depends on the situation, it depends on the person or the persons involved. So let's explore the spiritual implications of faith. When you are faced with certain situations, that is when your faith is tested the most. I suppose this applies to relationships as well, just as I said. The examples that I'm thinking of have to do with loss, losing a loved one, losing a job, losing your home, losing something that means something to you can rock your faith. That can wreak havoc on your spiritual life as well as your physical being. There are no words to actually adequately describe how this can impact your faith. It's just something that you feel, something that you see, something that you know. You know when your faith is being tested. You know when that's happening. If you hear teachings in any religion, and then you compare those teachings to the actions of those that are in the same boat with you, if the actions don't add up to the teachings, you can lose faith. In other words, hypocritical situations where you're exposed to religious teachings and you're a good Christian or a good Catholic or a good Islam or whatever you want to say, you know what your teachings are. And then when you see someone that's acting outside of those doctrines or those teachings, you're going to lose a little bit of faith. I don't care what anybody says, because you're going to think, God, they're so hypocritical. Aren't they supposed to be doing this? Isn't that what we're being taught? And in fact, it is what you're being taught. But then again, you get into the human factor. We're all human. We're not at all perfect. And we learn by error, typically. Some people just are born with good sense, and then others have to learn the hard way. I happen to be one of those people that have had to learn the hard way. However, I have learned very valuable lessons learning the hard way to not have to go back that way. But the other thing that you need to remember is not everything is in your control. No matter how hard you try, it doesn't mean things are going to turn out the way you thought they would. I'm sorry, I have hair in my mouth, and I have a dog right behind me. That's probably why I have hair in my mouth. Anyway, faith comes from deep within your spiritual self. Faith comes from years of practice and years of proof. So to say that we have faith without proof isn't really accurate, and I'll explain that. You start down the road of a spiritual belief system, any spiritual belief system that you are brand new in. You're a newborn. And what does that look like in reality? When we're born into our physical body, we are underdeveloped. We can't talk. We can only cry to tell someone that we need something. And I equate this with spiritual birth. When we first start in a spiritual journey, no matter how old we are mute. We are unpracticed. We don't have the experience that we need. It's only through spiritual teachings and readings that we start to understand the spiritual system that we've decided to invest in. This in itself, this self-discovery, this growth, enhances and builds our faith. When we see others struggling but ultimately make it through their struggle, that builds our faith. Even though we don't have something directly to do with it, watching someone else pull themselves out of a hole gives us faith. If they can do it, I can do it. Learn by modeling an example. That's the best way I know how to put that. When we are faced with something significant, something life-changing, something challenging, it's then that our faith and what we've learned from our teachings is tested. When we often fail in these challenges of faith, even when we're practiced at it. Why? Because it's human nature to doubt. No matter what anyone says, the human brain is hardwired to require proof. It is difficult for us to rely on faith alone. So when we're asked to do this, our human nature is battling with our spiritual will. And there's an internal conflict. But it's true that you have the ability to rely on faith and to use logical means to make decisions. If we made a decision on faith alone, I think we would be in significant trouble. Sometimes blind faith isn't the best method. That's why we were given a brain to think and use our logic. But when we do face adversity and we can pull through it, it builds our faith and our confidence. But again, you have to rely on good old-fashioned logic and put those two things together to make good decisions and good choices. There are some things that you just know. For example, people that are contemplating marriage, they'll often say that they've met the one. And when you ask them how they know that, they'll say, "Oh, I just know." Or if a couple is contemplating having a baby, you'll ask them, "How do you know it's time?" And they just say, if it's planned, they'll say, "I just know," or "We just know." Knowing and faith are two totally different things. But faith does play a part in knowing. We are putting faith or confidence in something that we just know. We may use logic. In other words, is it financially sound for me to get married or have a child or children at this particular time in my life? To make those decisions, you not only have to implement your faith, but you usually have to implement that logical piece in your brain. Faith is definitely spiritual guidance. It is our way into the spiritual world. Some people say, "I know in my heart that this is right." Again, that's a testimony of faith, something they just know beyond a shadow of a doubt. I truly believe that everything goes back to some sort of spiritual explanation, no matter what or how horrible the circumstances are. Now, this is something that I'm saying to you and to myself because I'm really struggling with this concept right now. Sometimes it's necessary for the universe to force us into situations we wouldn't normally choose to be in so that we can not only build our faith, but kick open the doors that would have otherwise been shut. It's during that time that we have to have some sort of faith, some sort of assurance that everything is going to be okay. We can seek that from within ourselves, as well as search out others who can help us understand what's happening to us. Whether it's a pastor or a rabbi or a priest or a friend or a spiritual reader, it doesn't matter. If you need help when you are having your faith tested, get the help. You don't have to walk the road by yourself. That's why there are relationships in place. That's why there are spiritual guides out there that can help you understand what is happening. I think the most important thing is to try to remain positive, and that has been the biggest challenge for me lately, is trying to remain positive, trying to believe what I just said. When your livelihood is threatened and you're facing destitution, faith isn't easy to come by. Quiet yourself and try to listen. And that's what I've been trying to do. And as I've said time and time again, listen to what is being said. Sometimes when your life is thrown into chaos, it's hard to listen. And in fact, you don't want to listen. Sometimes you just want everything to be quiet, and so that you can make decisions and that you can make the changes that you need. Sometimes those voices, those guidance voices need to be quiet and let you figure things out. And that's the importance there. You want the situation to change. If you're in a bad situation or in a situation that has challenged your faith, the automatic God-given human reaction is, I want this over. I want this to change. How do I change this? What decisions do I make to change this situation? Sometimes, however, we have the power to change that situation, the power to make decisions that shift our situation. It's up to us to figure that out. There's always a plan. And again, I'm reiterating this to you because I am reiterating it to myself. There is always a plan. If you have faith, the situation will get better. It might get a lot darker before the dawn, but there's some lesson to be learned. Whether it's patience, whether it's perseverance, learning to let go, learning to trust, needing a change in your life, but most of all, learning to lean on your faith. There are some decisions that we don't make willingly. There are some decisions that are required to be made for our survival. And they are life-changing decisions, not only for us, but those around us. That's huge. Wrap your head around that. That is huge. And that is the most difficult kind of decisions. The desperate kind. Here's the other thing that I'm going to say. You don't have to listen to all of the other people around you giving you advice. Sometimes it's good to talk to someone and get their perspective, but you know what's right for yourself. Eventually, you're going to know what direction you should go in. You also know what's right in light of your circumstances, even if someone else disagrees with that. That is when you exercise your faith and the faith that you have in yourself. If you, don't be detoured by what you know. Don't be detoured when someone is saying, no, don't go that way. If you know that that's something that you need to do for your survival or for your benefit or for your growth, you need to go forward with that. You don't have to be hateful about it. Sometimes you have to be. You have to stand your ground and draw the line. But you have to come to terms with what is going on in your own life and make appropriate decisions from there. So let's face it, life is hard. I was an atheist for a while, and I know what it's like to be completely devoid of any type of faith. I know what it's like to watch someone you love die and think that you're never going to see them again. I know what it feels like to be in total darkness without even a pinch of sunlight. Ultimately, I found my faith again. Many would say I found it unconventionally, but the fact is that my Creator knew what to use to get my attention and to renew my faith. I was able to find my faith in myself and in the spiritual realm again. And although someone may not agree with my faith, that's not up to them. That's up to me. It's up to me to keep my faith nurtured and healthy. It doesn't go far with me when someone is trying to tell me that I'm going to go to hell because I don't see eye to eye with their type of faith. That is infuriating to me. And who are they to say that you are wrong in your belief system? That in itself is wrong for someone to tell you that, because if you're a believer in the biblical teachings, we're told not to judge. So my point is this: sometimes you take wrong turns on the road of life. Sometimes your focus shifts unwillingly. But all in all, if your faith, your spiritual faith, and the faith within yourself stands, you can be an overcomer. You will struggle, and you will fall, and you will fail. But when you do, it's important to pick yourself up and dust yourself off. Have that innate faith in what you're doing, because someone somewhere is watching you and how you deal with that particular situation that you're forced into. Shut your eyes to naysayers and the people who are passing judgment or telling you that you're making the wrong choices. How are you supposed to learn how deep your faith actually is if you go through life without some bumps in the road? Those bumps can be devastating. Trust me, I know. But overcoming isn't about winning or losing. It's about faith and how we use our faith to get through those most difficult of times. Even if things don't turn out exactly how we thought they would, it's that faith that gives us the presence of mind to know that it's all going to be okay. With that, I would like to conclude tonight's episode and thank you for tuning in. If you would like to correspond with me, please visit my website. It's traceeford.com. You can leave comments on this episode as well. As far as events for May, there is a Facebook event going on right now. It's called Mary Kay in a Book. I am actually a Mary Kay consultant. This is the first time that I've aired that information and that I've solicited that information. But that event allows you to purchase Mary Kay products and get a free paperback, one of my books, for free. There's a $25 limit. So in other words, if you purchase $25 or more, you automatically get a free book. So if that is something that you're interested in, please contact me. I can give you the event information and you can participate in that event. That event runs till May 31st. The orders will be placed on June 1st and they will be delivered right to your door via mail. The customer is responsible for shipping and handling, but other than that, it's all good. The Paranormal Hour is continuing with Willow Cross and I, and we are exploring tons of topics on the paranormal. If you're interested in that, tune in on, there's 2 Fridays a month, and those are always posted on the Paranormal Hour Facebook page. If you're interested in topics that you'd like to see discussed, please do that. Otherwise, if you have questions, contact me. Love and light to you. Keep the faith. Be positive, and know that there's more coming for you that's better. Have a great day.